Hello everybody, I'm Rowan6 with Rowan6 Entertainment, and welcome to a new series, a audiobook series of my fanfiction, The Dragon Hero Dovahkiin. The background art for this fanfiction is created by me. If you're interested in me doing art commissions for you, the link to my business Discord is down below. There's also a link to my community Discord, as well as the fanfiction link. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
Chapter 10. 35 minutes before Izuku's meeting with Nizu. Today's training was just over when Izuku was called to Nizu's office. He was just about to leave to deal with the rat, but before he could, Melissa stopped him and asked if she could show him a cool spot that she had found in the city. He agreed to meet her outside UA in an hour so they could go check it out together. And as he left, Serena decided to make her move and quickly grabbed all the girls before any of them could leave. She then sat them down at a table that she conjured. "Okay, girls, we all need to talk," Serena says after she sits everybody down. "And what do we need to talk about, huh?" Rumi huffs out in annoyance. She was quite upset about Lydia's successful attempts to block her from Izuku, especially after she approved. "We need to talk about everybody's interests in Izuku, obviously," Lydia says bluntly. This makes Melissa blush and for Rumi and Ryoko look at her in surprise. "Why are you looking at me in surprise? I have seen the looks in your eyes when you look at him. Not to mention, Serena can literally smell your interest in him," Lydia says, raising her eyebrow. "I'm not fucking going to deny it, especially since our little fight was all about getting your approval. I'm just surprised that you are so forward and blunt about it," Rumi said. "And since Serena can detect my interest in Izuku from my scent alone, I will also not deny it either. But I am also surprised by how forward you are," Ryoko says, still a little shocked. "I noticed from your people's views on love that a lot of you have a habit of dancing around the topic until you eventually confess. In our culture, we are quite forward with our emotions. It's quite unorthodox for us to take this route of action. But Serena, Kuros, Nemuri, and I have agreed this would be the best course of action for all of us to court Izuku," Lydia says. "Wait, hold up, all you guys want to fuck Izuku? What, are you seriously trying to start a harem?" Rumi asked, shocked. "Correction, we are creating a polycule," Kuros says, but all of them just looked at them blankly before a grin split Rumi's face. "You hear that, Ryoko? Our problems are solved. Apparently, all these girls here are polyamorous just like us," Rumi says, chuckling, which makes Ryoko let out a relieved sigh, and for everybody else to just blink stupidly at them. "Well, that was easier than I thought it would be," Serena says, dumbfounded, before gathering herself and then speaking again. "On to the next topic, then. Now, there are a couple of things you need to know about Izuku before you pursue him," Serena says as she pulls out a stack of papers and places them in front of the group. "What is this?" Melissa asked curiously. "This is the rough draft of Izuku's book that he wrote about himself. Lydia and I thought it was a good idea for him to use writing to vent, and he ended up writing a book and leaving a couple of copies back in the College of Winterhold. He also plans on releasing it to the general public here, but with some sensitive details removed. All these pages are Izuku's unfiltered thoughts. The book itself is quite detailed on its own, so it's not really a breach of trust or anything. It's just these are less organized than the finished copy," Serena says seriously. "Wait, Then why don't you just give us the finished copy instead? Melissa asked. I would if I had access to it. First, I didn't want to wait to have this conversation since it's going to be a day before the book is finally published and released to the public. Second, there are only 3 copies in this world. 2 of them were with Izuku, and the other one was Lydia's, who loaned it to Izuku's mother. She wanted to know everything that happened to Izuku, and instead of explaining it she gave her the book to read. Serena said a bit sheepishly. Well, I guess it's better this way. We need to get these girls up to speed as soon as possible anyway. Nemuri says, shrugging. They sat there for a good 10 minutes reading before the group devolved into an emotional heap. What the fuck? Seriously, what the actual fuck? How does he have his insanity intact? Rumi said furiously. Because we had an anchor. Melissa said despondently. Her face was neutral, and only a single tear ran down her face. Hey, what do you mean we, Melissa? Don't tell me that you were treated like this too. Nemuri said worried. Yes, but I wasn't physically abused like he was, but I was emotionally. If I did not have my dad and his support, I would have broken down years ago. He was my anchor, just like Izuku's mother, and his dream to be a hero was for him. Melissa said, now crying. Which caused Nemuri to just embrace her. The crying lasted only for a few minutes before being interrupted by the sounds of writing. Looking over, everybody could see Ryuko looking through the papers and writing furiously. Looking closely, they could tell that she was writing as quickly as possible in a small notepad, and she was also leaking out killing intent. Rumi only saw this side of her 3 times, 2 of those times, the people who got her angry were sent to the hospital and into intensive care. Acting quickly, she wrapped her arms around her in hopes of calming her. It's all right, you need to calm down, remember, you need to be the one with the level head out of the 2 of us. Rumi said softly, then Ryuko tensed up before looking at her. There are only 2 names, but there are enough descriptions in this for us to find the rest of those bastards. I do not care if one of them is the number 1 hero, I'll still rip him to shreds, now let me go please. Ryuko growled out in fury but also in plea. Rumi knew this was the animalistic part of her that wanted to tear these people apart, and her more logical and reasonable side is currently being suppressed. She knew if Ryuko went out like this and actually hurt somebody, Ryuko would never forgive herself. This was the only reason why she was stopping right now. That and going after the number 1 hero, even if he was in a weakened state, was nothing but a suicide mission. Hell, the man could still change the weather with a single punch, so she doubted they could really do anything against him at the moment, the key word being at the moment. Unfortunately, Ryuko, Izuku made it very clear to me and Serena for us not to seek vengeance on his behalf, and this is also not the reason why we showed you these papers. Lydia says seriously. This snapped Ryuko out of her animalistic state and into a shocked one. What, you can't be serious. Why did he tell you not to go after these bastards, and why show us this if we're not planning for revenge? Ryuko asked, shocked. Honestly, I think Izuku's too pure for this world. Oh, don't get me wrong, he has killed and is an expert thief. But everything he has done is for the sake of others and never for himself. Even though he had to do some things he's not proud of, it was all in the name of helping others. Even if he goes out for revenge, he knows it would be nothing but hollow for him. He knows if he indulges in such behavior, he'll be just as bad as they are, and he doesn't want us to dirty our hands with filth in his name either. But for the reason I showed you this, it was so you know what you were getting yourself into. Nemuri and Kuros already know this, but Izuku being dense is the result of years of conditioning from his time over here. So most of the social cues when it comes to romance are going to go over his head. And if you overshow your affection towards him, he will think that you are up to something and you are trying to use him in some way. Serena said seriously. Fuck, so that's why you were pussy blocking me? Rumi asked with a groan. Yes, I did not want you to ruin your own chances by accident, especially when you're exactly Izuku's type. Lydia said with a smirk. Which made Rumi smirk in return. But before Rumi could ask another question, Serena cleared her throat, which grabbed everybody's attention. Now that you all know what's happening, it is time to strategize to get our man. Serena said with a devilish grin. UA conference room, 50 minutes after Izuku left. Nizu was worried, he knew he fucked up and royally so, and that is why he called an emergency meeting of the UA staff. He was even able to get Mirako and Ryukyu to sit in on it. Hopefully, he will be able to fix the mess that he's in, or come to a solution that would minimize the damage at the very least. It didn't help that 2 of his teachers as well as 2 of the top 10 heroines were looking like somebody took a shit in their soup and was forced to eat it. He figured that the 4 were given the same information from Serena that Izuku had given him. But he honestly did not know how to start this conversation. So he was quite happy when Present Mike popped the question that would either start the end of the world as they knew it or end up saving it. So, why did you call us here, Nizu, and why does Nem look like somebody tortured and brutally killed a puppy in front of her? Present Mike said hesitantly. He had to hold back a wince when Nemuri gave him a look that could kill a man. Luckily for him, though, her quirk wasn't capable of doing that. The 4 heroines were clearly upset because they were still processing what they read in Izuku's book. After their girl talk, they tried to finish the book before Nizu had called them to this meeting. So all the information that they had read was still fresh in their minds. So, as Nizu decides to ignore the second question, he speaks up. But everybody in the room could obviously tell he was extremely nervous. Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, I may have made a decision that could end up creating the world's biggest threat. Nizu said hesitantly at first before the rest of his words started spilling out like a broken dam. Everybody stared at him in shock, before Izuku decided to bite the bullet and ask the question that everybody wanted to but was too afraid to. What decision was that? Izuku asked, with a tone that told everybody that he was done with the world. He knew he should have gone and gotten that extra cup of coffee at that cafe on the way to work today, he just knew it. Well, first I pissed off Mr. Midoriya by demanding that he give me access to all the knowledge on magic. Nizu said after taking a deep breath. This caused Ryuko and Rumi to growl at him, as well as Nemuri and Kuro staring at him viciously. But before the 4 heroines could say anything, Present Mike spoke up. Who are we talking about here? What do you mean about magic? And most importantly, why is pissing this guy off going to lead to the possible end of the world? Present Mike asked, confused. Hisashi, did you not get the memo? Izuku asked, annoyed. What memo? The only memo I got was that joke one. Present Mike asked as he just blinked at him owlishly, and Izuku just groaned at hearing that. Well, Present Mike, That was not a joke memo, although I can see how it could be one. But to answer your first question, Mr. Midoriya is a man who was sent to another dimension for 10 years before returning. When he returned, he was 14 again and brought with him 2 of his closest companions as well as knowledge of magic and knowledge of that world. He is also as strong as All Might. Over 2 months ago, he came to me asking for assistance and explained to me what had happened to him. He thought it would be best to be upfront with me since he would be attending UA next semester. After explaining and going through various tests to verify his story, I agreed to assist him even though I did not trust him. I mostly did it so I could observe him and truly determine if he was a threat or not. I foolishly believed that I held all the cards, but in reality, he stacked the deck against me. When I demanded to have access to his magical knowledge, he straight up laughed at me and told me that the only reason that he was playing my game was that becoming a hero gave him more options. And he's completely willing to go and become a vigilante, which he could do completely legally due to the fact that he is quirkless. When I realized I was cornered, I attempted my backup plan and straight up asked him if he could heal All Might, who was severely injured 5 years ago. Which he absolutely refused to do, and all because All Might thoroughly crushed his dreams and then left him on a rooftop after saving him from a villain who was suffocating him. To make matters worse, before I knew all this, I had offered All Might a teacher's position teaching Heroics 101, which he accepted. Nizu said, leaving every teacher shocked into silence. All except for the 4 heroines who were visibly pissed. But before the heroines could bite the principal's head off for his actions, Present Mike spoke up again. I am kind of afraid to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How is this going to end the world? And why don't you just deny All Might his teaching position if it's going to cause problems? Present Mike asked hesitantly, which Nizu started answering quickly before the 4 heroines could tear him to shreds. I didn't say he would end the world, I said he could end up being the world's biggest threat. You see, if he does go vigilante because of All Might, it would create a power shift that would eventually destroy the hero system entirely. Not just for Japan but for every country in the world, and we legally can't do a thing about it. As for the reason why I just don't deny All Might the teacher's position that I offered is because the board of directors won't let me. Now I know that I fucked up, I will not deny that, but I called you all here to figure out how we can fix this. Nizu said, with clear anxiety in his voice. Which made the room go silent again, even the 4 heroines were silent. Thanks to the now dire situation that they realized they were in, the 4 heroines reined back their anger and decided to tear apart the rat later. But before anyone can put their 2 cents in, the silence of the room is broken by a familiar voice. Well, you got yourself in quite a tight spot, my dear principal. Serena says, amused, as she decloaks right next to Present Mike, who jumps out of his seat in fright, causing everybody in the room to chuckle. I was wondering when you would show yourself, Serena. I'm assuming since you are showing yourself, that you have a solution. Nizu said, stone-faced. First, don't act like you know I was there, we both know you didn't. I made this invisibility spell especially just for you. I had to admit, though, it was quite hard to do so, but thanks to your attempts on trying to unlock your own magic pool by yourself, I was able to create this spell. Second, you're right, I do have a solution, and if you don't do as I suggest, there's no way in hell you're going to fix this. But to be frank with you, I'm half tempted just to watch you suffer for it. But Izuku truly wants to become a hero, even though he's already one. It's been his dream since childhood, even after that poor excuse of a man attempted to crush it, and drove him near the breaking point. Don't get me wrong, he's completely willing to go vigilante, but he is fully aware of what that would cause, and as such, it is a last resort. Anyway, if you truly want to make it up to him, be frank and tell him what's happening. Also, stop jerking him around and attempting to manipulate him, and don't even attempt to get his apprentices to heal that man. If you do all that, he will most likely forgive you. I won't tell him anything, but if I don't hear that you didn't tell him within a month, I'll tell him myself. I am giving you one chance to fix this, you better not squander it. Serena said seriously before vanishing again. After that little display from Serena, the group ended up discussing how they would deal with All Might and keep him away from Izuku as much as possible. After that, the meeting was adjourned and everybody left.
Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!